Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying all the talks today and this week. It has been an absolute jam packed summit, tons of knowledge bombs happening, and we're not done yet. I'm here with Natasha Galinsky from On Purpose Projects. She is going to teach us how to create loyal, reliable, amazing virtual contractor teams. I am looking forward to hearing what she's got to say. This is going to be a collaborative talk. So get your questions ready, fire them into the chat, and I will pop them up on screen. We're going to play a quick ad from one of our sponsors, and then we'll let Natasha dive in.
Awesome. That was so awesome. Oh my gosh, I just wrote that down. I got to check out that company for my core web vitals. But anyway, thank you so much for having me on the call. Just thrilled to be here. I have been a big fan of Vito and his team for years and years and years. So grateful to be able to share. I am going to be talking today about how to create loyal, reliable, amazing virtual contractor teams. So I'm just going to quickly flip through open up my presentation here. My name is Natasha. I run my own web agency for 7 years. We specialize in custom design, custom dev. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. I am the oldest of 6 children, so technically have been running teams for 40 plus years. I've been running a remote team for at least 10 and have been in management and team leadership professionally for over 20. So I am the quintessential accidental agency owner. I was a management consultant, and I had my client was like, hey, you know what? Can you find me someone to help do a website? And I was like, sure. Went to Upwork, hired a guy from Bangladesh, didn't know what I was doing. And he and I ended up working together for 2 years. So I have literally run a virtual team since day one of my agency. I have never built a website in my life. I have no design skills. I do not know anything about web development. And so I have literally run a team to do everything since the very beginning. We are a 100% remote contractor team. I have 0 employees. The majority of my team, we've all worked together since the beginning with almost 0 turnover. If someone's left, it's because they went on to a different career path, not necessarily because they quit working with us, which I'm so proud of. The guy who did our original logo, before the business even began, is still my lead UI UX designer. So I'm so grateful for that kind of retention on my team. My role on the team is management, marketing, and money. I am not in deliverables. I do not design code, as I mentioned. I don't do websites. I don't do QA. I don't do web maintenance. I don't do any of it. I'm very high level, running the team, very high, sort of more the business side of the agency. So I have a really unique perspective as an agency owner in that I have never actually done the thing that we do. I've always kind of come at it with that higher level team leader perspective, and having that has been able to create a really awesome team environment that my team and I work together every single day. My team works very autonomously. I am not really involved in the day-to-day. There has been, in the sense of moment to moment, like item by item, there has been many a project that starts and then finishes and goes out, and I haven't even seen it yet. So it's a really exciting place to be. Our work quality, even though I'm not involved in all the details, our work quality is awesome. And I hear from my team all the time that they would never want to work anywhere else. I am so grateful, so blessed by the team that I have. Just to show you a little bit about who I am and my background, if we've never met. What I was saying before about being able to create really great results and my success with creating really great teams. On Upwork, we have a 100% success score, which is a great metric. Better Business Bureau A+ rating. Professionally, I am a certified Scrum Master. I am a professional project manager. I have my PMP designation. I have my Agile certified practitioner. So I have a lot of professional training in project management. However, I was running remote teams long before I was a Scrum Master, PMP, any of that. I just wanted to share some testimonials from my team. This is my team's tech lead. So he just says here, the ability to bring out the best in her team, professionalism, transparency, one of the best experiences he's ever had. I'm so blessed by it. My assistant the other day, this is in Spanish, but she sent me a message saying, hey, just wanted to tell you it's our 5-year anniversary. so grateful working with you. Has been a beautiful work experience. Another of my designers. So just the feedback from my team, that it's not just me saying that I know what I'm doing. My team is, they give me that feedback all the time, that they want to work on this team. They don't want to be off the team. We love working together. And so I just know for a lot of I've been interviewed on a couple, just this last month, actually, on a couple different podcasts and things like that. People really curious, how do you do that? How have you created that dynamic of loyalty and excellence in the work? No one's an employee. They could all technically go work somewhere else. They're all freelancers. But how do you create that sense of connectedness and excellence when everyone is working remotely, right? So we are going to get into it. As Stephanie was saying, my approach is a little bit different. I've done a lot of different teaching. I teach actually project management. I teach a lot of different things. And I find from my experience, discussion works really well, because the focus of today's class is going to be about the excellence in being a team leader. It's mostly a mindset shift, which we're going to be going through a lot today. It's less about mechanics and logistics and more about changing our thinking as agency owners. So instead of me talking to you, I'm going to be presenting my ideas in the form of questions, challenging us to rethink. And so I'm going to open it up, and then we're going to sort of talk a little bit and keep going, obviously keeping on schedule. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I have my 3 topics. So we're going to talk about loyal, reliable, and amazing. And I have 3 points per each point. So we're going to get into it. And at the end of every section, at the end of my loyal section, for example, I'm going to open it up for a couple questions. So if you have questions while I'm talking, I know that there's a little bit of a lag in the chat. Just write it down, and then we're going to get to it. So in terms of the timing and the pacing, so just have patience with us as we sort of figure this out. But this is my number one mindset shift that I talk about a lot when I work with other agency owners and coaching them on building these loyal, strong teams. So if you want your team to be loyal, we need to ask ourselves as agency owners, how loyal are we to our team? How loyal are we to them? So for me, an expression I like to use is the team before the green. So what that means is, in the case of some sort of issue, let's imagine you have a client who's upset, teammate made a mistake, client's upset, the teammate didn't make a mistake, there was a misunderstanding. Where does your loyalty fall? Do you side to your client and blame your contractor? Do you side to your contractor and together you create a solution together to fix the situation? Is it you against them, or is it us against the problem, right? Do you protect your team? Do you have their back? Do you go the extra mile for them the way that you want them to show up for you? Do you treat them at all times with respect and kindness? And yesterday, as I was preparing these slides, I actually I ran it by a couple of my teammates, and I'm like, what do you guys think? I want to know what keeps you on this team. Am I correct? Obviously I'm teaching this, but I want to know, is this really why you're here? Because I wanted their opinion on my presentation. And so they said to me, they're like, yeah, the reason why we are here is we know you're there for us. We are safe. We had this client, a situation a couple of years ago, and the client, as we've all had, it was a really difficult client. It was a really volatile situation. It was one that I've never had something as challenging as that in 7-8 years of running the agency. And I remember my tech lead and I, we were in this together and we were working on it. And I remember it was this chaos. It was just complete chaos. And there was a million opportunities where we could have turned on each other and blaming and all of this. But it was just he and I, we rallied, we rallied together. We ended up firing the client and the fallout of that and all that. But it was him and me together against the problem. And he told me, he's like, the fact that you stood by me during that situation, he's like, that there's priceless. There's no reason, there's no way I would work somewhere else after how I saw that you rallied for me. And that to me is, you want loyalty, you got to give it. And so that to me was my point number 1 around loyalty. Number 2, if you want your team to be loyal, they need to be able to achieve their own goals working on your team. So with contractors, with freelancers, they are not under contract working with us. They're like, we don't have an amazing benefits plan that we pay to earn them with money to get them to stay, nothing like that. They have to want to stay. They stay because they want to stay. So as agency owners, for us, it's so crucial to understand that we every day, this is how I look at it, is I need to earn it. I need to earn this loyalty. Like there's no reason they can't go make more money somewhere else or work with another agency. There's no reason they couldn't be freelancing on their own instead of being under an agency model. So I take that very seriously. And I make sure that them working for me on our team is going to help them get what they want in their career. So for example, do you know what their goals are? Do you prioritize them getting theirs, or are you just focused on how you can help them get, how they can help you get yours? So for example, every year in January, I touch base with my team and I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to do this year? What do you want to do? And one of my guys is saying, you know what, I really, really want to work on more React projects this year. I really want to improve my React skills. And I was like, okay, noted. You know, another person was like, you know what, I'd really love to learn more about UX, and I'd really love to deepen my skill set as it relates to UX and whatever the case may be. And so I really knew, I'm like, okay, what are we working on? Like, what do you want for you? And how working here can we help you get that? Right? So it's not about me growing my business. It's like, do their goals, is what they want and what I want, is it aligned? And together, how can they get theirs while also the business is growing and expanding? So do you give them the opportunity to expand and grow while working with you? Do you see them as brilliant individuals or a means to an end? You know, I was interviewed on this podcast the other day, and they were saying that a lot of people look at their team as overhead, as, oh, my biggest expense is the resources. And I was like, I think that's the wrong attitude. Yeah, okay, having a team, it's definitely like it's a big bill, no question about it. But if we didn't have a team, we wouldn't even have a business at all. So it's like, is it an expense or is it an investment? So to me, I've never thought about it as a resource. Like I teach project management and resource planning and resource, that's the word, resource. But it's like, I don't like that term personally. I'm like, you have this person who has chosen to work with you. They are brilliant in their own way. As the team leader, do we honor that brilliance? Do we bring that out? Do we help them grow to be the person that they want to be? And do we create space for them to get theirs while working with us, right? So do we have a culture of safety where they can fail, make mistakes without losing their job, right? So it's like, as for example, you know, in the case of, let's say, one of my developers who wanted to work on his React skills, okay, at some point, I'm going to give him a React job, and he may or may not do a great job at it. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a gamble. It's going to be like, okay, we can test it and he can do a practice job and we can do all of that. But it's like, there's no way to know it's going to go great. I don't know. But if I am really committed to him growing his goals, at some point, I'm going to have to ask him, or he's going to have to show us. He's going to have to do it, right? And do I have that space that it could go sideways? It could go wrong. The client could get upset. And it goes back to point number one. Where's my loyalty? Okay, if I'm committed to this person growing their skills, working on my team, at some point, we're going to have to get messy, right? And try it out. And again, then my loyalty, it's like, goes to your team, right? So number three. And then after this, we're going to go to questions. So if you have questions, start maybe typing in the chat. So loyal. If you want your team to be loyal, do you consistently provide them with fun, challenging work they actually like doing? So do you ask your team what kind of work they like? So this is something that to me is really important, where I run a team of full stack web developers, and I know who likes what. So for example, I have, you know, certain people on the team who love custom plugins, and another person who loves working with Shopify, and another person who loves working with React or whatever. But it's not that they only do that. Like they don't always get to pick and choose, but I know what they love to do, so that I can kind of keep that in mind of thinking, okay, so my WordPress guy has been doing a lot of Webflow lately. He's probably really, like, I'll talk to him, hey, I'm got a WordPress. My next job I'm going to give to you is going to be a WordPress job. So I'm conscious of what they like to do, the work that they enjoy doing. Is your team allowed to have an opinion on the types of projects you don't do? So recently, this actually happened like 2 weeks ago. We were scoping a job, and the developer, he tells me, he's like, I don't like this. He's like, this is not, I have a bad feeling. And it was all these different things with expectations and the client and the scope of work was like, and he and I had worked together for 5 years, and I said, okay, I trust you. And I told the client, no, I'm like, thank you for, but it was an unrealistic timelines and things like that. And the developer was just like, I have a bad feeling. And he's like, I don't think this is the right job for us. And I said, okay. And I let it go, but like I trusted him to let me know, because if I had closed that job, he would have been really anxious about it, right? So I considered that, and then I thought he was right, and I let him know. And then does your team get enough variety, challenge, learning opportunities? Are they having fun? Do they actually enjoy it, right? Do they want to come to work every day? And do they have the quality of life, like the work-life balance that they want while working with you? Some people want to work the long days. Some people don't. Do we honor that? Do we understand, like, no, this person does not work after this certain time of day? And do we, in terms of creating loyalty, have we created a work rhythm that they actually really enjoy? Because if they enjoy it, they're going to want to be there. They're going to be loyal to the situation. So Stephanie, I am going to open it up for questions at this point. If anyone has any questions.
It's like magic. You just say my name and I just appear. All right, I'm gonna check out the chat here. I don't think we haven't gotten any questions just yet, but we did get one lovely comment that I think you're gonna love to see. Natasha, you're exactly the kind of leader I would love to work under. Rare to find selfless, empathetic leaders like you. Please don't ever change.
My team told me they'd be on the call today, so maybe that's one of them.
I don't think it is. This is somebody that's been in the chat quite a bit, so maybe
nice.
though. I don't know.
Oh,
If so, that's a plant, and that's totally cheating. But
that's totally cheating. I know. No,
guys, if you're here listening though, if you're out there listening and you're an agency owner, you're a boss, think about how the things that Natasha is saying resonated with someone who is a virtual assistant. This is the kind of work environment that people want to work for and work in. So
I agree.
So we don't have any questions in the live chat,
right.
but we can keep going. Why don't we play a quick ad from our sponsor?
Sure.
While we're at a little pause here.
Love it.
Okay, I'll let you get back to it. And again, if you need me, just say my name and I'll be here.
I love it. That was awesome. Just appeared. All right, let's get to reliable. This is one thing I hear a lot about, because most of my colleagues, like I'm in multiple masterminds with agency owners and marketing teams and things like that. And a lot of them complain about people not coming to work or being late. And I'm like, I, knock wood, have never had that problem. I have never missed a deadline because someone didn't come to work. Like I'm so honored. Like the team that I have, it's like I said, we have a 100% success score. Like after 8 years, like we are exceptionally great at what we do, and it's my team. It's not, like I said, I am not the one who does build these websites. I'm not the one who debugs the code. Like it is totally them. But how do you create that culture where the people on the team are reliable? So this is the first thing. If you want your team to be reliable, do you put your new teammates on trial so you can see that they actually do have that character trait of reliability, right? So this is one thing like that I am very, very careful to watch. So when I'm hiring someone new in any capacity, marketing assistant, web developer, designer, whatever it is, I am watching them like a hawk. And I'm like, is this a reliable person? Because sometimes we think we can change people. And sometimes, I've had freelancers before that I've had to fire. And they have incredible skills and I really, really liked them, but they would just kind of flaky and kind of, And luckily it didn't jeopardize any project, but I had to sort of fire them before it got to that point and move it to somebody else. But it's like we are looking for reliable people. Some people are like that. You can just count on them. They're there, they're organized, they have that integrity to do what they say they're going to do. We have to find those people. We have to get out of the game of trying to change anybody, right? Just forget it. Forget changing someone. Look for the people who are already reliable. So do they attend meetings on time? Are they organized? Do they do what they say they're going to do as a person? Do they do that? Those are the people you're looking for, people who do that. Do they meet the mini deadlines you set up? Whenever I hire somebody new, they're always on trial. We're on like a 60-day trial where I am watching them and I tell them, like every time I make a new hire, like I train agency people on this as a coach, and I'm like, you have to warn them. So when I hire somebody new, for example, I let them know the reason, if I fire you, the reason I'm going to fire you is because of A, B, C. So in one of those is going to be reliability. Another one is going to be like bad communication, like whatever my personal list is, right? But if we agree to a certain schedule or whatever, and they keep missing it, they know in advance, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. And it kind of gives me license to like not keep them on the team, right? Do they make excuses, right? If we have someone who is missing deadlines and excuses, that is not a person that you can trust to be reliable. It's not about them being a bad person. It's like, if you want a reliable team, you need to find reliable people, right? So as the agency owners, we need to know how to vet for that. And it's like, so if you have someone on your team who's kind of like all over the place and unreliable, and like they don't send stuff on the right time, or they don't, like, that's okay. But that's not going to give you a reliable team. Like, so you have to kind of get that out if reliability is the goal, right? So if you want your team to be reliable, do you have any consequences if they're not? So I can talk all day long about how amazing my team is, but I have fired a lot of people too. Like the people that I have now, like, yeah, we've been together for a long time, but there's people who have come and gone. I have hired and fired like a lot of other people. So for example, so if you let them know you're going to fire them, do you let them know, like I was saying, if they're not reliable, do they know that is important, and that is like their job could be at stake if they're not reliable, right? Do you use a 3-strike system where they can lose their job? So I do this too. I'm like, I have like a 3-strike system internally where it's like, first time, like I warn you. Second time, we talk about it. Third time, you're done. Like that's it. Like if we've talked about this twice and you're still not following through, you're done. That's it. I don't have time for that. Like my client service is too important to me to jeopardize someone who's not going to do what they say they're going to do. Like I have no patience for that on the team. Do you have or avoid difficult conversations about difficult topics? Like sometimes I'm in a couple different masterminds, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have this person on the team and I don't know what to say. I don't want to be mean. It's like, no, you're the boss. You are the boss. You have to have these difficult conversations. You have to know how to handle it, intervene. Like you're the one running the show. You're in charge. So in the sense of hiring and firing, right? So knowing how to fire them if they're not proving to be reliable. And that's what I find works really well in the preliminary, in the trial, in the interview. It's like, this is a deal breaker. If we agree to a schedule and you are not there, or a timeline or deadlines, and it's not, you're done. Like you will be fired, period. And if they can't accept that, then don't hire them at all, right? And then if they don't follow through, we have to have the courage to like cut them loose, right? So, and then alternatively, do you reward and verbally appreciate reliability? So this is one thing for me as a team, I try to do all the time is like, and thankfully, I mean, I never really worry about this with my team now, but it's like when something's, if they like tell me, hey, okay, I'll have it by Wednesday, and I get it by Tuesday, like, oh my God, thank you so much, amazing job, blah, blah, blah. Like I really, really celebrate reliability to kind of keep that as a strong part of the culture, right? And thankfully, again, it's never been a major issue, or like I said, I get those people out as fast as I can. But I definitely reward that consistency to get the job done on time. So here, I'm coming to the third part of this slide. So again, if you have any questions, start to like queue them up in the chat. So number 3, or comments, of course, comments are always welcome. If you want your team to be reliable, do you have a win-win structure schedule? This one is very important. And it's I don't know, I kind of had to think about this when I was writing this slide, but it's like, if we want reliability, being they are online when we need them to be, when we plan to be online, if they're delivering on time, if they're whatever our requirements are. So making sure that their work schedule is doable for them, right? So do you and your teammate have a work schedule that works for both of you? So for example, yesterday I was talking to one of my teammates and he and I were on a call, and my schedule is, I like starting work in the morning. I usually work like 6 to 2. I have 3 kids, so I really work while they're at school. While they're home from school, I really don't usually work when they're home from school. So I work kind of before they wake up, while they're at school, and then I'm kind of done. He doesn't like working in the morning. So he usually starts at 11 o'clock my time, and then he'll work until 7 p.m. my time. So he and I every day have an overlap of like 11 to 2. So we're online together for 3 hours. We chat, we catch up, we like organize the stuff, we Slack, like da, 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 da. But then I'm off and he's on, but it's like, he didn't want to work mornings. I don't want to work evenings, but we found a way that's going to work for both of us. So when he's working a schedule that works for his lifestyle, for his family, for his commitments, for his interests and, hobbies and things like that, he is going to be reliable because the schedule works for his life, right? I don't have to worry about whether he's coming to work today because he's had his whole morning to do the thing he wants to do. And so I never, ever, ever have to worry, oh, is he coming in today? It's like, no, we've already established that this schedule is going to work for him, right? Do you accommodate different festivals, holidays when they may or may not be available? This one was funny for me because a few of my people are in Brazil. And so they messaged me, they're like, hey, just to let you know, it's a long weekend next weekend, it's Carnival. And I was like, oh, good. I was like, okay, good to know. Like, not working Friday, not working Monday. And I'm like, that's totally fine. But it was just like, I'm in Canada. I don't know. Like, I don't know when Carnival is. So knowing that, I'm not going to assign work to them on the Friday and the Monday. Like, I'm going to put them in a position where they can succeed, right? I'm going to be very sensitive to, like, I have a guy, one of my designers is in Egypt and he's Muslim and he practices Ramadan and I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'm not going to be online these days. And no. I'm like, cool. Just let me know ahead of time. Because if I know, I'm going to be able to create realistic expectations and not feel like, why are you working Monday? Why aren't you working Monday? Like, no, like, I'm not going to sell something that's going to have to close by Monday if they're not even working. So I have to be aware of that, right? Do you trust them to get their job done on their own time? So this is one thing that I feel is really, really important. And we're going to be talking about this a little bit in the next kind of module, I guess, is not the micromanaging. It's like, I am a team leader. My job is to support, to facilitate, to organize at the beginning, to kind of get the ball rolling. And then I'm here if you need me. So I'll stay on Slack. I'll keep my Slack. Like, I'm here, but I trust them to do the thing. Like, my designers will talk to my developers and the developers talk to QA, and then they all talk to each other to problem solve. And then they bring me in when they need me. But otherwise, they kind of run their own show. Like, we have systems and we have a process, and they just kind of, I maybe get the ball rolling, but then they take it and they run it. And I just stay out of it until they need me, kind of thing. I'll check in and be like, hey, how's it going? But I'm not moment to moment like, hey, is this done? Is this done? It's like, no, I trust them to get the job done, right? Are you willing to be flexible in your schedule to support their schedule? So things like, like I mentioned, I have one guy who works in Egypt and his schedule is kind of weird. And so sometimes he wanted to book a call, but so I'm like, was I willing to do a call at a really weird hour for me if it's necessary? Okay, yeah, I'm willing to meet you halfway, right? And it's not all the time, but that openness to not necessarily always making them come to me. It's like, hey, okay, let's try to find a time that works for both of us. But if not, okay, I am willing to work with you on whatever the situation is, right? Do you make space in your day to be available for calls and meetings when they need you? I think it's interesting as agency owners, we're always like, hey, let's do a call at 1 o'clock or whatever. But it's like, I have to make sure in my day I'm keeping a lot of white space to be available if they need me, or they have questions, or there's an issue, or there's something that I can be there for them and hold that space for them. And so not just constantly so busy and, oh, I'll get it to you later, and 5 hours later, and now they're stalled out working. They can't do their thing because they don't have the right password. And it's like, no, I have to be there to kind of help them be able to keep moving. Because their ability to be reliable is completely dependent on, well, not completely, but very dependent on my ability to make sure they have what they need to do their job, right? Stephanie, ta-da! Questions, comments?
Hello. It's like better than a genie lamp, isn't it?
I love it.
Okay, so we do have a couple questions.
All right.
I'm happy to report. Oh, and statements/comments. So first up, Avicha, our pal Avicha, he says, emotional intelligence, working with people, I think that's more important than their skills when working in teams. What's your thoughts on this? I have some thoughts.
100%. Yeah, emotional intelligence is key for sure. We're going to be talking about that, I think, in my next piece. But yeah, it's that intuitive connectedness to the person you're working with, right? And as a team leader too, we have to know that we can't treat our people all the same, right? Every person is going to need something different from us to be able to do their job. And like, I have some people on my team who are super introverted and they don't want to talk to me. They just want to check in on Slack, and I might not talk to them face to face for a year. But then I have other people who are like, they love to connect and they want to we just chat throughout the week and face to face and a Zoom huddle or a Slack huddle. And it's knowing that, it's knowing your people, and knowing what they need to be able to be their best is part of our job, right? As the team leader. So
For sure. Kim asks, how hard has it been in your experience to find reliable people? How many people do you go through before finding a reliable one? Which I think you touched on this a little bit, but it's something that can be gone into some more detail. And then she says, I'd feel bad having to fire someone, so I haven't done much hiring.
I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, I think like it's all, I mean, when we're hiring, it's so easy to hire now in the sense of Upwork. Like, let's imagine you go to Upwork or Guru or Freelancer or anywhere. This person has reviews usually, so you can read like dozens of reviews about this person before you even book a call with them. So it's pretty easy to see. Like, I definitely read people's reviews before I hire them, no question about it. Like, if someone has 0 reviews, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm going to read their reviews, check their work. I'm willing to check references. I'm going to do the legwork before we even like try it together. So I don't know. I think if you hired everybody, I think you could have a really big reliability issue if you don't do your homework. But for me, I try to do as much legwork as I can. I try to hire by referral if I can. Like, hey, anybody know someone?
That's interesting.
You know, like, I always put it out to my community first to be like, hey, I'm looking for a JavaScript guy. Does somebody know anybody? Like, you know, I might need 15 hours next month of JavaScript, like web development. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, I got this guy and he helped it. Okay, like, but even then, even if it's a referral, I'm gonna still do my homework. You know, I'm gonna make sure, like, so yeah, you have to be very strategic in how you hire, in my experience.
I will say, firing sucks. It's terrible, isn't it? I hate it.
I don't know. I don't care. Honestly, it's not that I don't care. I take that back. It's not that I don't care, but it's like because I warn them in advance, like I was just saying, like,
nobody gets fired by surprise at your
company. No one's fired by surprise. It's like, I will tell them. And I taught this masterclass about this last year about how to hire, like the process of writing the job and doing the interviewing, doing the screening, and doing like, I wrote this whole thing, right? And it was like, before I hire them, like, we have this agreement, and I'm like, if I fire you, it will be because of like inability to meet deadlines, like poor, slow communication. Like, I know I have my list for me as a leader, like what I need to do my job, right? For me to be able to do my job as a project manager, I know what I need from my people. Like, I know what I need, and it might be different, Stephanie, than what you need, but I know what I personally need, right? And I make them sign this agreement that's like, I understand that if I fail, something to the effect of like, if I fail to meet this criteria,
I'm out.
3-strike system, I'm out. Like, they know. So when it comes to it, and like, let's imagine I'm talking to someone and they missed a deadline. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I understand stuff happens. As we talked about in the beginning, just if this happens, two more times, I'm just gonna let you know this isn't gonna work out. And then it happens again. And like, I don't know, to me, I guess I've fired a lot of people. It's sort of, I think they bring it on themselves, honestly.
Yep.
Because like, I don't make people guess. I'm like, there's no surprise, hey, you're fired. It's like, second time, if it happens again, I'm like, we've talked about this. I just want to let you know if this happens one more time, this isn't going to work, as we talked about.
The clarity is a big deal there. Yeah. And there's the expression this is making me think of the expression, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Right? Do your homework first.
And it's never mean, because it's like there's no way they can say they didn't know. Like, it's impossible. And if I feel like if I'm giving them 3 chances and they're still continuing to like disrespect the rules, I don't feel bad about firing that person. I just don't. Like, I'm like, no, you're just.
That makes total sense. No, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a little bit of a not technical, but are your contractors all from outside the US? Are 1099s avoided in this way? Do their countries require that they claim their income in order to be taxed?
All my contractors are outside the US. I'm outside the US. I'm Canadian. I know what a 1099 is. I've never done it. No, like, in the sense of.
Yeah, I don't know how taxes work in Canada.
Yeah, Canada, like, no, like, I don't pay. If it's a Canadian freelancer, then that's different. I mean, I do have some Canadians that work with me, but taxes, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, I'm not American.
Well, Linda, I am in the US. I'm in North Carolina, and there is another form that is for non-US folks. It's like a Ben 85. I don't know. It's some crazy name, but you can look it up. And there's one that they can fill out that you can file that with the IRS so that it keeps all your numbers in check.
Yeah, like,
I am no accountant, believe me, but that's one thing we collect from our overseas staff.
Well, we use an invoicing system, like, where they have to invoice me. And then if they're Canadian, they charge me sales tax. Like, it's all above board, all legit. And then when I do my taxes, I have every receipt of every person I paid. But I don't know the tax forms, again, if you're American, but no, it's definitely, nobody's working for cash, let's say. Like, it's all billable, taxable, like, yeah, it's running like a business. Like, I'm incorporated, so they build a corporation, and like, I track it and I write it off when I do my tax return, and like, yeah, it's all there. So, great question.
Ash has a question. He says in a follow-up that you pretty much answered it, but I think it's worth sort of repeating.
Sure.
He says, we often find great remote developers who seem the perfect fit, but time zones aren't on our side. How do you manage this?
Okay, me personally, I don't hire anybody who's like unwilling to work on my time zone. Like, that's another thing. It's like, because I have my kids, I'm not willing to work nights. I'm not willing to work weekends. I'm not willing to wake up at 3 a.m. Like, I have a very fixed time that I'm willing to work. And if they don't work on my time zone, or at least overlap of 3 hours, like with one of my guys in Brazil, I know me, it's going to drive me insane. I'm not.
That's our policy too.
I'm not willing to do it. Yeah.
At my company, Focus WP, we have a full contractor team. We have over 30 contractors that work with us to provide white label services. And basically, we say, like, Ash, I will tell you this, that has to be in the job description.
Yeah.
Because that's like, you should not even get to the point of understanding if they're the perfect fit if they're not in the right time zone. And as a little side note, we have a general rule of thumb, because time zones are so complicated. Not just hours worked, but time zones in general, that I don't care where you live or what time zone you're in. All I care about is what hours you work during the day.
Yeah.
So if people are in other countries, that's fine. We have tons of folks all over the place, and we do a similar thing with the overlap. But one little tip I will give: in communication, we have a rule of thumb that if anybody internally is communicating with me, we go by my time zone. So if we say we have a meeting at 11, that's 11 East Coast. That's just our rule of thumb. And if we are talking to a client, it's their time zone, no matter what. So that's a super helpful rule of thumb that we've got that we learned the hard way, because it gets so confusing when you're
Yeah.
setting meetings and all that kind of stuff. So just and it's not that I'm being arrogant and saying like we're on my time zone. It's just you have to have a standard, a
You need a
standard, and so
baseline, right?
that just
Yeah,
makes it easier. Yeah, I know my assistant is in a different time zone than me. She's
me too.
Central Time,
Yeah.
and then we've got the people doing the work and all the. So yeah, I totally
No,
get it.
I agree. To me, I don't care where you are. Like we have people in Egypt. I have a guy, like I still have the original guy from Bangladesh who I first hired. He and I like sometimes work together still. I like, but the deal is you work on our, like you have to be willing at least part of your day to be working on our time zone. And it's not just for me, it's like the designers and the developers, they talk to each other, right? So it's like it just creates so much lag if this designer isn't online until 12 hours later when the developer has some questions about the mock-up. Like
It can completely derail a project.
it can
It
derail a job. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Hey, do
Yeah,
you have another section to go
I
through?
do, but I'll go fast.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
then
know
we better let's
we're
crush through it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to my slides. So I'm
I'm
like,
just gonna hang out with you.
do it. I love it. Okay. So amazing being amazing. Amazing as in obviously your team is going to be amazing, but amazing as in I'm using this in terms of quality, like work quality, because I know sometimes people virtual teams quality is questionable or they're not sure how to enforce and get really great results from their team. So if you want your team to be amazing at delivering exceptional results, do you set them up for success? I'm just going to burn through these. Okay, Stephanie. So if anybody wants to be like,
Do it.
like just they can always email me later. So
Mm-hmm.
do you make sure they have everything they need to do their job properly? Do they have all the files? Do they have all the images? Do they have the login, which as we know is like the longest part of any website job is getting the correct login information. Do they have anything that they need, right, for their to be able to do their project? This one for me is crucial. I know a lot of agencies do not do this, but it's like we do a lot of custom stuff, custom design, custom dev. We really don't do anything fixed price. So in this model, do you involve your team in scoping and estimation so that they can get their questions answered and they can help create a realistic time and money proposal? In order to create exceptional results, my team quotes every project. And then literally, I do the discovery call. I get the details. I record it on Zoom. I send the Zoom video to my team. I'm like, hey guys, okay, I need a design quote here. I need a development quote here. Da, da, da. They send me their numbers. My bookkeeper like tidies it all up. And now that's the proposal. I don't guess how long it's going to take. I'm not a developer. I'm not a designer. I don't know. Like custom, again, our whole model is custom, right? So everything's always a different price. But they write the estimate. So they know they can do a great job at, you know what I mean? Like they know that for them to do a great job, they know how much time it's going to take. I don't like say randomly, hey, 12 hours. WTF, I need 20 to code that. You know what I mean? Like that's just not cool, right? So they are involved. And then make sure their workload is realistic so that everyone is working in a calm, creative way without being pressured with too many deadlines. You can't do great work if everyone's stressing out. You make mistakes. People make a lot of mistakes. So if you want high quality, make sure you're pacing your people in a way that they have some space. They can take a break. They don't have to work on a weekend. They can like breathe. They can think. They can have a technical problem and it doesn't derail the whole schedule, right? Do you look for their mental and emotional health? Are they feeling good? If they're stressed and tired and burnt out and working when they're feeling sick, not good. Not good. We got to like take care of them to ensure super high quality and results, right? Number 3B. If you want your team to be amazing at delivering exceptional results without you having to do everything, do you give them the authority to self-manage and make their own decisions? Does your team have more of a waterfall or a Scrum philosophy? What that means is, I mean, I'm a trained project manager. Waterfall being like boss, team, check the boxes. Everyone's kind of accountable to the project manager sort of thing. Or are you more Scrum? And for those of us who are not from a technical background, Scrum is very no hierarchy. It's very like we all work together. So exceptional results being like, I trust my team to kind of do their thing in their way because they know better than me than I know. I don't know how to code. Like you guys figure it out, right? So we're very like, everyone's even. I'm not their boss. I'm like the Scrum master, sort of, if you know what Scrum is. But we all bring different skills to the table, and it's a very flat hierarchy, which is very fun. It's a very cool thing. Like I let them do their thing, they let me do my thing. We kind of stay in our lanes. Does your team get a vote on which projects to take? Exceptional results is sometimes because I involve my team in the estimation, they'll tell me, they're like, no, 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 like, no, we don't want this job. Trust me. Like, this sounds like a nightmare. Like, okay, exceptional results means not taking every job you can, right? It's like, that's really important to think about. Do you ask your team's opinion? Sometimes if I have a client who asks me a question and I don't know, I'll tell my client, I don't know. And I go to my team, because me lying or pretending I know is going to create problems, and that just creates a disaster. So it's like openness to not know, right? Do I go to my team? Are you open to them doing a task in their own way, or are you married to doing everything your way? I think this is a big one for agency owners. I know a lot of agency owners who were designers or were developers, or whatever it is that you do. Obviously, I come from the web world, right? But they have a way. And I was like, what if their way's better? Like, it might not be, but let's be open to the possibility, right? That they might know better than me. And our culture is open to that. Like, hey, the job, the purpose, the outcome is great results for our client. There's no one way to do anything, right? Do you allow them to solve their own problems and work together without you getting involved? Like, do you have a culture where they can talk to each other and they can deal with their own stuff? Or are you constantly putting out fires and not letting them be adults, right? So they have to have the authority to do their own thing. And then last slide of this, if you want your team to be amazing at delivering exceptional results, do you invest in them building new skills? And I kind of talked about this already, but how often do you ask them about what they're interested in? Like, one of my guys is super into learning about AI right now and how AI works with websites. So he's taking this course about AI, and it's so fascinating, right? And it's like, do you contribute towards the cost of training? Because sometimes on our team, it's like, if they find a class and if it's like within a certain financial range, I'll be like, hey, let me pay half, right? Because your skills are going to help grow our business. So of course I'll pay. And if you leave, then karma's karma, right? Like, I sowed into you, it's going to come back. I don't worry about it, right? Do you know the strengths and weakness of your teammates to assign work accordingly? So allowing your team to work to their strengths. Sometimes you have some developers who are okay at design and some developers who are terrible at design. Know that so that they can do a good job, right? Do you encourage them to evolve beyond what you hired them for? I hired this guy who was a backend developer, and he was really curious about learning front-end web development. So now he's a full stack developer, but I didn't hire him for that. But he was curious, and so we did it, and now I got a full stack guy, right? I didn't kind of pigeonhole him into being a backend developer. Do you give them time off to take courses? Do you give them opportunities to try these skills? Like I said before about the guy who wants to learn React, do you let him try it? Do you, which can be terrifying and risky, right? But that's how we grow, right? We grow through practice. And then Stephanie, my next slide is just like a call to action slide. If someone wants to learn more about this, my email
This is perfect. In fact, I'm going to, if I could just interrupt you for 1 second, we're going to play the final ad, and then we're going to come back because we are just out of time. We're going to talk, give everybody an opportunity to find you where they can, as if they want to come and ask you some more questions and connect with you. Okay. Give me 1 second, and we're going to play this ad here.
Join North America's cloud computing industry leaders at CloudFest USA 2023, May 31st through June 3rd in the heart of Austin, Texas. Register now, cloudfest.com/USA/web agencies.
Very cool.
Okay, and we're back. Thanks so much for this, Natasha. There was a ton of gold in this. If anybody out there is working with a team, and this was geared toward contractors, but really it does apply as well to staff, full, whether it's full, part-time as well. A lot of these things carry over to that. If folks want to learn more about you or learn more from you, how can they do that?
Yeah, just on the slide here, it's super duper easy. They can just drop me an email, and I have some agency owners that pay me to coach them. Some people just want to quickly chat. I'm totally open. I love teams. Working with my team is like the honor of my life, and I wish everybody felt like that, right? And I was interviewed on this podcast the other day, and I started crying, just like talking about my team.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm glad it was a podcast. But
now, are you on Twitter or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. Yeah, you just search
I'm terrible at email, and I think we should stand
LinkedIn. Use my name. Just look it up on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only one because it's such like a weirdo last name. So, Yeah.
Yeah, you must really love your husband. That's fine.
Oh,
Okay.
well, no, when we got married, I didn't even change my name. I'm like, his is worse than this. So
Oh, what? Okay. Anyway, thanks, Natasha. Thanks for bringing all this
thanks,
energy
everyone.
on a Friday afternoon. We
Oh,
appreciate you.
my pleasure.
And you guys go reach out to Natasha and learn more about how to create your loyal, reliable, amazing teams.
Thanks for having me.